Tzipi Oppenheimer, and it's my pleasure to meet you, and thank you for introducing yourselves. I'm joined today by my colleague, Yitz, who is also on screen. I guess the most important thing is Mazal Tov on your Aliyah. It's very, very, very exciting. We're thrilled each time we get to meet a new Olah. It really is wonderful and exciting. And, roller coaster ride, lots of ups, lots of downs, and challenges. And that's what we're kind of here to try and talk you through some of the first steps, answer questions you may have. And I think most important, if you get out of this meeting nothing other than knowing how to contact us when you have questions, then you've gotten a lot out of the meeting. So just as I guess the first thing to say is we are part of the Nefesh B'Nefesh post Aliyah department. We're also called the Answers department or the Advocacy department. Each of you had your own pre-Aliyah advisor who guided you through your whole steps. And now that you're here in Israel, you actually have a whole team of people. That's me, that's Yitz, and that's another 7 or 8 people on the team. It works that way for a variety of reasons. You're welcome to call us at our phone number, which is going to be in the chat box, star 3680, Sunday through Thursday, because in Israel, that's the working week, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., star 3680, and we'll answer your questions. We take turns manning that phone line. Yes, you're gonna put that in the chat. Thank you. We work past 3 o'clock, but we close the line at that time so that we can follow up on all the many calls that come in. We also have an email address that's dedicated specifically to post Aliyah questions, and that is answers@mbn.org.il. And again, we man that, I want to say 24/6. You can expect an answer within 1 or 2 or 3 working days. That's your post Aliyah. We are your post Aliyah people, and we're happy to help you. If you speak with me about a certain issue, about your driver's license, I don't know, we finish that issue and you have another question, you don't have to ask specifically for Tzipi. That's why we have a whole team. If we're in the middle of some issue, then of course I'll continue that, helping you along the way. We also have this weekly session. Again, we're going to go over your first steps, and we have monthly post Aliyah open forums where Olim, depending on we have forum with a spotlight. So depending what the spotlight's on, we invite Olim from the second month through the second year, sometimes third year. Olim, you're entitled to be in touch with us until you don't need to be anymore. Sometimes people contact us 10 years afterwards. Sometimes people contact us 5 years afterwards. It depends what the question is, okay? I would expect it, on your first week, everything is going to be really hazy. And how do I find anything? You're going to need help with just about everything. But in your 5th year, you're probably going to be much more independent. But on the other hand, if you're a family with kids and your first child's going to the Army, you might have questions about that because you didn't grow up here and you don't know how to deal with that. And that's what we're here to help. The other thing I didn't say is this, as you know, is being recorded. You will receive a follow-up email with a link to the recording, as well as links to some helpful articles on our website that we're going to be sharing as we go along. I would also say, I can say it later on also, but the website, the Nefesh B'Nefesh website, which I'm sure you used in your pre-Aliyah process, is also very, very helpful post-Aliyah. It's, in my opinion, the place to go for your first step in trying to understand something. Sometimes people call and say, I need help with mortgages. I don't know, with how do I convert my driver's license? And then we would probably direct you to the link in the article or articles and say, once you've read through that, please get back to us with specific questions. So you'll have the basic information already at your fingertips. I am going to now share screen first. I'm going to welcome the other people who joined us. Hi, Jessica, Robert, Shira, Levi, unless you have names other than what's really on the screen. And again, Mazal Tov on your Aliyah. And basically, I was just introducing ourselves for now. And I'm going to share screen. Here we are right now. This you should be seeing on your screen. You should be seeing, hold on, I'm going to make it a little smaller because it's very big. Okay, you should be seeing on your screen, it's a copy of a post Aliyah guide, which is like I have it here too, which is not so easy to see when I hold it up. This is the paper version of it. Some of you might already have received of it. Some of you will receive it in what we call a welcome bag. And I usually keep this on the screen when we talk, but I'm going to try something a little different this time because we actually use something else on our website, and I want to try using that, what we have on the website. The paper guide is terrific, and when you do receive it, it's not your Bible because it's not, but it's very important. You can write notes on it and information that you, questions, comments, whatever, but we also have it online, and that's what I want to share with you. I'm looking, here we are. Okay, this is what we have online. It looks a teeny bit different because it's not paper. You can see it now, yes? Okay. And I'm specifically showing you this online so you don't have to wait to get the paper guide. And the other thing is if there's updates, we can't update your paper guide anymore, but we can update it online. So this is always the most up to date. This link also we will send you, and it's also going to be in the email that I send you as a follow-up, okay? So if we just start, I'm not going to read through everything in this guide because it's a lot of information, but I am going to take you through the first steps rather in depth, okay? It begins here, Oleg glossary. It's not going to open up for me. Here we are. Which I'm not going to go word by word, but there's some really important words here that will help you in your day-to-day post-Aliyah processing and life. You know, when I speak with Olim, we all try to be cognizant of the fact that not everybody speaks Hebrew, and there are some words that we just kind of have to use the Hebrew for because that's what everybody calls it. Bituach Leumi, which is a National Insurance Institute. Nobody calls it that. It's Bituach Leumi, okay? You're on the street and you're looking for the office. If you ask for the National Insurance Institute, nobody's going to know. If you ask, not even English speakers, Bituach Leumi, they'll know. So these are like important words. The same thing, Misrad Klita, which is the Ministry of Absorption and Immigration, Misrad Pnim, which is the Ministry of Interior. So that is why those words are important to try and learn, and you might have more as you come across them, okay? Learning Hebrew is a process, can take a long time, but there's some words that are the most important to get in your first couple of days or first couple of weeks, okay? We are now going to look at what you should have received upon arrival at the airport. I just want to ask, because I didn't ask to begin with, I'm just wondering, anybody on right now is, if they know, is anybody here what is known as a former A1 visa holder or as an Ezrach Ole or Katin Choser? If you don't know what I'm asking, then you're probably not. If you do know what I'm asking, you can, we're still a small group. You can unmute yourself a second and just let me know because it's going to help me guide through the next half hour, 45 minutes. Okay, so if not, I'm guessing that you're not, none of you in that situation. Okay, so what you receive upon arriving in Israel. You should have all received at the airport the following list of, if you're not Ezra Chola, Katin Choser, or a former A1, you should have received a 2 Ole that looks like a blue passport. It says on a 2 Ole. And inside, when you open it up, it actually has two numbers listed. One is your 2 Ole number. This is a document. It's an Ole booklet. It has that number that's used only for Aliyah things. And it also has your 2 Zehut number in it. Okay, two different numbers. And I always forget they're two different colors, and I forget which one is which, but it says it before the numbers. If somebody has the booklet next to them, they can look and let us know. That booklet is a legal document, and it's important to keep for the next 15 years with your other legal documents where you keep your passports and stuff, keep that. Sometimes people don't understand what it's used for, and lots of times people don't need it immediately, but it's used for things like if you're sending a shipment, a customs shipment, or if you're getting a mortgage using the Olim mortgage rate, or things like getting your monthly Sal Klita payments. So that is why it's important to keep it. If you lose it, you have to get a new one issued, and it's a little bit of a process. You need to actually go to the police to report it as lost or stolen, which is even worse as a process. You should have gotten a healthcare registration form. That's going to be a piece of paper that's all in Hebrew, except for one word or two words or one word. It'll be Klalit, Mucheret, Maccabi, or Leumit. That's a sheet of paper that you're going to take with you when you go to we'll talk about in a second, when you go to register in a certain specific clinic. Okay. You should have gotten some payment of cash. That's your first Sal Klita payment. You should have gotten, I'm skipping this a second, a SIM card, one per family. Please note the SIM card is good for 3 months. from when you received it. It's not 3 months from when you activated, so there's no reason not to activate it already. You're not saving it for anything. It has a lot of 5,000 minutes. It has 6 gigabyte. It's a lot. And it's just also, people sometimes don't know, in Israel, you are not charged for incoming calls. So there's no reason not to use it unless you know you're already going to be getting a different number and you just want to start with that number. If you want to continue using the number, there is a phone number listed here. 026599000. That's the card it's a government benefit, and it's given, and it's serviced by Hot Mobile, and you can extend and use that, extend that number so that it's yours even after those 3 months. You begin paying for it, of course, but it should be free to you for the first 3 months. And then one other thing you should have gotten is a sheet of paper. Note a future bank account. It's a sheet of paper to bring to your bank. They fill in your bank account details and your name, and they need to also sign and stamp it. Recently, I've had a couple people who told me that they were at the bank and they filled it in the information, but the bank didn't sign and stamp it, and that meant they had to go back to the bank. So just note that page goes, I'll talk about in a second, it goes to the Misrad Klita, and you want it, I'm going to see, I actually have a copy of it. You want to get it filled out, include making sure that they sign and stamp it. I'm going to see if I can open it and just show it to you. I don't know why but it's not going to let me. I'm going to try one more time. Okay, it's a sheet of paper. Oh, here we are. Okay, so now I'm going to stop share screening or move share screen. However we do that, 1 second. Stop share and now share again. Here we are. This is what the reason I had recently a couple of people who had problems with it, and I don't want you to have problems that meant they had to go back a couple of times. So you should be able to see it. It's got in a lot of different languages, authorization to open a bank account, and they need to fill it in. But what they most importantly need to do is the date, a signature, and an actual stamp on it, okay? So don't forget to do that, and we're going to go into more details as we continue. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Okay. So here we go, your first 6 steps after making Aliyah. And I'm going to go one by one. The first step is getting your, can you just confirm for me, Yitz, or anybody else, that you're seeing my screen okay? Because again, this is the first, yeah, oh, good, because it's the first time I'm using the online article and not the PDF of this booklet. Okay, so the first step that you want to take is obtaining your Tudat Zehut. You will be making an appointment at the Misrad HaPnim. The Misrad HaPnim is also known as the Reshut HaOchlusin VaHagira. They're used, it's not even used interchangeably. Everybody says Misrad HaPnim, but you need to know the other name when you're making an appointment there. It's the Ministry of Interior in Israel, okay? And your ID card, it's not the same as your Tudat Oleh. It's a Tudat Zehut, and it's used in this country for just about everything, okay? When you go to apply for it, you're applying for the biometric Tudat Zehut. You don't have a choice. A couple of years ago, biometric documentation came into being in Israel, and that's what you apply for. Since the biometric Tudat Zehut takes a number of weeks, if not longer, to be processed at the biometric factory and then sent in the mail, you will receive a temporary one. The temporary Tudat Zehut that you will receive is good for 9 months, okay, and then it times out. The biometric Tudat Zehut that you receive is supposed to be good for 10 years, and then you'll need to renew it. How do I make an appointment, and what do I need to bring with me? So first, I'm going to start with how to make an appointment. If you see here this link, www.myvisit.com, okay? Some of you might have already tried to make an appointment. Some of you Okay, I'm seeing people say yes. I know. I'll explain in a minute why it is so hard. Some of you might be having a hard time. It's a Hebrew website. You can and should switch it to English, but even then, some of it you have to enter in Hebrew. We have here in the bottom of this, we have a tutorial. What means it's screenshots of the Hebrew with explanation of the English and what to put in. I'll just give you one tip. When you get to the part where you're putting which city you want an appointment, you cannot type in Jerusalem. You have to have Hebrew letters. You have to Hebrew keyboard, and you have to type in Yerushalayim, or you can't type in Haifa. You have to type in Chet Yud Pei Hey. Okay, otherwise it doesn't work. You can download it to your phone as an app, or you can do it from your computer as a desktop. Now, people who have tried to find an appointment might say, well, there's no appointments available for the next 6 months, or 3 months, or 2 months, or not at all, depending which office you look at. That is true. It's not easy to find an appointment, and that impacts a lot of things. There's a huge demand and not enough supply, all sorts of reasons. They still haven't, there's much more demand because of people still are now just renewing the documents still after COVID. They still are understaffed because they haven't gotten back to the regular staffing since COVID, because nobody wants to everybody's working in Israel. Nobody wants that job. I don't know. And also there are thousands of Olim coming in daily from Russia and the Ukraine, which all together means there's a bottleneck, an extreme bottleneck. That doesn't mean you can't find an appointment. This is what we suggest to you. One, we have been told that it's easiest to find appointments early in the morning, 7:30 to 9, okay? No appointments are going to open up on Friday. No appointments are going to open up on Saturday, unless one person, if somebody cancels, then that appointment would show up. But when you go into, say, the Jerusalem office and it says there's no appointments until March or April, it doesn't really mean there's no appointments. It means that the appointments that they've already freed up are taken, but they will free up more appointments for the next 2 or 3 days. You have to be vigilant, okay? I like to say they open up appointments regularly on an irregular basis, okay? So if you don't hit your head at the wall and say, oh, there's nothing available for 5 months. There's currently nothing available. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but you got to be vigilant and try. I usually say try 2 times a day, once early in the morning, once in the afternoon. It's not only people who cancel appointments that become available, the offices do open up more appointments. The second thing you need to know is you do not need to go specifically to the office in your city. I'm not suggesting you go to Eilat if you live in Yerushalayim, because it would be a nice trip, because sometimes you need to go a second time. You usually don't, but sometimes you need to go a second time, and you wouldn't want to go somewhere that's a hardship for you to have to go back to. If you live in Tel Aviv and you have your best friend in Haifa, then look in Haifa, because that's not such a hardship, okay? If you live in Yerushalayim, then look in Ma'ale Adumim, or anywhere in the area, if it's easy for you to get to. If you have a car, if you don't mind taking public transportation, okay? So that's also important to know. It's not limited geographically, but don't go somewhere that's such a hardship if you need to go back a second time. Those are the 2 tips that we have. The third tip that I would give you is, if you've tried using these 2 things for a week and you've tried daily and you haven't gotten anything, then please be back in touch with us. Send us an email, give us a call, and say, hey, I made Aliyah on such and such a date. I listened to the Zoom. I followed what Sippy said. I've been trying twice a day, trying in the morning, trying various offices, haven't found anything. Then give us a call, or send us an email. It's not like we have a reserve pocket of appointments that we only give to those people who really don't try hard. We don't have. On the other hand, you're just laughing at me, okay? On the other hand, since we're so often online and we're a robust team of about 8 or 9, you can be sure that our WhatsApp group will say, oh, appointments just opened up in Har Homa. So we keep a running list of people who are looking, and then we all run together, and not whoever's quickest gets the appointments for those people on the list. We ask you to do your due diligence and try yourself as per the tips and hints I just gave, but if it's not working, then be back in touch with us. Okay? Assuming you have your appointment, and everybody here said, nobody here said they were a former A1, so I am not going to go into that. Okay? If there is somebody who's a former A1, then there's a little bit of a different process. What you should bring with you is basically everything. There's a list here of what you need to bring with you: original birth certificate with apostille, original marital certificate, or divorce certificate, or anything relating to that with an apostille, if relevant, obviously, original proof of Judaism, and any other documentation. It's better to bring more than less. Sometimes people say, but I schlepped it all and they didn't ask for any of it. Okay, great. Sometimes people don't schlep it all and then they ask for it, and that's a bummer. Okay. Bring your valid foreign passport. Bring 2 passport pictures for each family member receiving a Teudat Zehut. Anybody over the age of 16 can apply for Teudat Zehut, and each of you need a separate appointment, okay? I will say that if you only find one appointment on a Wednesday and the next appointment on a Thursday, go together. Sometimes they will take care of both of you, okay? Don't do that as a priori, but sometimes if you've tried and can't find it, and they'll take care of you together, okay? Especially if you're nice and smile. And I'm not joking about that. The 2 passport pictures, by the way, are for your temporary Teudat Zehut, which is why you don't have to be too worried about the size and the this and that. It's not the United States was asking for very, very specifics for their passport. Your regular, your final biometric Teudat Zehut, they take pictures there, a biometric picture. So this is for your temporary. Bring all the paperwork you received at Ben Gurion for whatever they need, and there is no fee. What you will get, and this is really important, don't leave without it, okay? Because sometimes if you have an appointment at the end of the morning or somebody's especially busy or whatever, they might not, it's your duty to be sure you get what you need, okay? And you should be getting 2 parts of the temporary Teudat Zehut. One is a folded piece of paper that's called in Hebrew a sefach, which is an addendum, and that will have your name and your spouse's name if you have a spouse, and your children's name and their contact information. That's one part of it. You should also receive a small plasticized, it's larger than a credit card, but smaller than a passport for sure, plasticized part of the Teudat Zehut with your picture on it and also your info. If you go without a picture, they will be more than willing to take care of you and not give you the temporary Teudat Zehut. And then you're going to be stuck until you get the biometric one. Okay, so don't forget to bring the pictures and don't forget to ask for that. You will also be receiving a sheet of paper with some codes on them. And what you would expect is in a number of weeks, they say 2 to 4, I say 3 to 8, just because realistically that's what's been happening. You should get a text message that'll saying it's coming in the mail. Some of the codes on that sheet will also, one of the codes on that sheet will also be in the text message, but still save that sheet because there's other codes you might need. And then theoretically, a messenger will knock on the door and say, here is your Teudat Zehut, and you show them your proof of identification, if that's your passport, American passport, and that code. More often than not, you just get a little card in the mailbox saying, go to your local post office. It will say what the post office is and where it is, and you go with the code and you'll pick it up there. You will also receive a text message at some point with a tracking number for registered mail. And you could plop that in. There is a way to track mail in Israel. There's also in English, so that's friendly. And you can plop that registered mail in. If you put it in there and it says nothing is showing up, it doesn't mean that your Teudat Zehut got lost. It just means that it maybe has already been processed at the factory, but it hasn't yet been starting to be sent on its way to you. Then you'll see it'll be sent to this Misad Pnim, then it's sent to the general post office, then it's sent to the local post office. So it has a number of steps. So don't freak if you put it in and there's showing up as nothing. That's not, it's just not yet able to be tracked. It's not available to be tracked. I think I spoke a lot now. Any questions on the Teudat Zehut? Anything I missed yet? Okay. I'm not seeing everybody's faces because of my share screen. So if you have questions, either raise your hand or unmute yourself or type them in the chat box and we can answer that way too. Okay, Yitz, if there's anything in the chat box that I need to answer and you didn't answer, just read it to me. Yes, Yossi.
So when I went on it, what I came up with, I didn't go with the screen.
Yossi, we don't hear you very well. Can you get closer?
Talk closer to the computer, yeah.
Okay, it did not, the prompt I got was not, when I followed the steps in the tutorial, the first prompt I got was not for a location.
No, it won't be. The first prompt you get will not be for location. Wait, you got through by putting your name in and putting your Teudat Zehut number in?
Right.
And your phone number in?
That's correct.
And then you knew which office to ask for.
Well, it never gave me that option as to which office to ask for. I didn't get a prompt that said that.
Okay, so I would suggest you call us tomorrow and we'll try and walk you through it. I would say that sometimes just as an FYI for government government sites. Sometimes they work in one browser, not in another browser. So sometimes it's worth it to try another browser. Sometimes they work better on the phone and not on the computer. Sometimes on the computer and not on the phone. So it's worth it to try. Which browser may I? And sometimes they don't like iPhones. What are you using?
I was using an iPad.
Yeah. Do you have any Android? Do you have a phone? Like, like an
We
Android?
have a computer. I use Chrome on my computer.
Okay, so try that and see if it works. And if not, then call us tomorrow. We'll do it with you to see what happened. No problem whatsoever.
However, I did get to the point where they said my appointment would have been on the 4th of April in 23.
Well, then you must have gotten past some location and you didn't realize it because they wouldn't have been able to tell you that unless you
Right,
said, yeah. Okay.
But I don't know but I have no idea what the location was because
Okay.
I don't know how that happened.
Okay, you don't. So thank you for bringing it up. First of all, you can call us and we'll walk you through it literally together. But what I want to say is if the first date you find is the 4th of April, don't take it. You can't double book. They won't, the system doesn't let somebody double book. So if you take an appointment for April or March or whatever, you're gonna have to cancel it before you make a new appointment. And you don't want to wait until April or March for your Teudat Zut. That's going to keep you in Never Never Land for way too long. Okay. So you're going to look at another branch and you're going to look at another location and you're going to look on another day until we find something. Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, I think when Rena went through, she got May. She no longer got April. She got May.
Again, as I said, earlier dates do show up depending on which branch, depending on which location, depending when you look and how often you look. Don't take them. I mean, we are right now November 20th. I would suggest you want to look for something in the next 3 weeks. I would hope you'd have in the next 2 weeks, but that's what I would suggest. And if you try again and you can't do it because the tutorial is not working for you, be in touch with us. If it works for you, keep on trying for most of the next week and then give us a call if you still having or an email and we'll help you. Okay. We're going to go to step 2, bank account. The reason step 2 is banks like to open up your account using your Teudat Zut as well as your Teudat Oleh. So that was good advice when you were able to get an appointment to get your Teudat Zut the day after you arrived, which actually happened not that long ago, but it's been backlogged for a good part of a year now. But this would still be step 2, okay? You need to open a bank account, an Israeli citizen bank account. If you have bank accounts already from days when you were here not as a citizen, you need to switch it. There's 2 types of bank accounts. One is an Israeli citizen bank account and one is a foreign citizen. You are not legally allowed to have a foreign citizen bank account in Israel now that you are Israeli citizens. You need to switch them. Some banks call that switching. Some banks call that opening a new account. It doesn't matter what you call it. If you have a legal spouse, you need to open up a joint account. Okay. I don't care, nobody cares what you do in your own personal finances, but in this instance, it needs to be a joint account because this is the account that you're going to have various monies from the government deposited into, and they require that to be a joint account. Okay. To open up the account, you need your Teudat Oleh because it has your Mispar Teudat Zut on it. If you have you get an appointment for the Teudat Zut in the next week or so, just wait because it's easier than arguing. But if your appointment's another 2 weeks or 3 weeks or not having luck, you can go to the bank. You need to make appointments at most banks now, okay? Sometimes it's really hard. It's crazy how hard it is to find online how to make an appointment. So sometimes I tell people, if the bank's close walking distance to you, walk in and say, I need to make an appointment. It might not be for that day, but they'll help you make the appointment. They should at least. And you need to bring the list of things that are here, your Teudat Oleh, okay? Your Teudat Zut if you don't have one. By law, the bank is obligated to open your account and use the Teudat Oleh as a valid piece of ID for the first 30 days after your Aliyah. They will tell you must come back and show us your Teudat Zut and they'll take a copy of it and that's legitimate, okay? Sometimes banks say without the Teudat Zut, we can't open the account. And sometimes it's just because they don't know. But more often it's because the computer system is not user-friendly to that option, okay? There are banks that let you do that. I know that the Bank of Jerusalem, which funnily enough is not just in Jerusalem, is user-friendly to that. Bank Mizrahi, I can't say every branch, but and different people have told us different branches. If they say to you, we can't open it without Taudat Zehut. Ask to speak to the manager. If the manager still says we can't, then say have to go to a different bank. Okay. If you're on social media groups, Facebook group, WhatsApps, ask your neighbors, your other Olim friends who've come recently, where they opened up their bank account, who is a good banker, who's friendly to let us open up the account even without the Taudat Zehut. If you are okay financially, it's not a huge rush to open up the bank. It's nice because you need to have a bank card to do all sorts of things. But if you can wait, then wait 2-3 weeks till you get to that Zehut, and you won't have to argue. But that is how it happens. You will want to bring, as I said, that piece of paper, that note of future bank account that I showed you that has 4 languages in it, and have them sign and stamp it. You will need, if anybody here is from the US and not Canada, you will need to give your social security number and fill out a W-9 form. And also expect it to take a long time. Opening up a bank account is not a short appointment. It can be half an hour, it can be an hour, it can be more. The banks are very wary now. The U.S. government has, and I'm being told now that other governments too, European and Canadian, are asking for a lot of different things from the Israeli banks to prevent money laundering, to prevent other things. It's not the Israeli banks that are trying to be difficult. They're just trying to comply. So just come with your patience and with your smile. You will also want to deposit some cash into the account. You can do it online if you're good at online banking. If you're already good at Hebrew, and then do it online. But you need to deposit a little bit, even 25 shekel, to activate the account. And you want that before you go to your next appointment, which we'll talk about in a minute, to the Misrad HaKlita. I strongly suggest making a list of the various questions you want to ask. Banking in Israel is very, 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 and I'll underline again, different than banking in North America. My colleague Miriam likes to say, you breathe the air and they charge you. You get charged for everything in Israel. When you do, you get charged for the pleasure of depositing your money at the bank. As a rule of thumb, anything you do face to face with a banker is the fee. The line fee is much more, like 3 times more than if you do it online or at an ATM machine. So if you're a person who likes to, stand in line and get money from the cashier, you are going to the banker, you're going to be spending a lot more money on line fees, monthly fees. There are also some cashless banks these days, which seems like an oxymoron, but apparently it's not. They open your account, they deal with your savings, they deal with your investments, but they don't have actual cash. It might have an ATM machine. So if you go to a bank and open up an account that way, you can ask them where the closest bank is that has cash to deposit some money and get some money, or wait till you get your ATM card. Make a list of all the questions you want to ask. That's what I said, and all the things you want to do while you're there. Do you want to order checks? Make sure to have that listed so you don't forget to order a checkbook. Do you want your online banking? Make sure you have that listed so you can get that information from the bank. The banker is going to be busy and rushed, and that's also part of his job. And you're just going to say nicely, I have some more questions, and you're going to ask all the questions you want. We have here a really nice website listed, Rivka Leibowitz. She is a financial guru, like everyday stuff, living financially smarter in Israel. They have a Facebook also where you can ask questions. There's other people too, Baruch Lubinsky, somebody else, Susie Kahati. They all Americans, Americans who have good information online and places to ask questions. Any questions about the banking?
Maybe can I just say something?
Sure.
Please. There was a comment in the chat that not all banks will allow Olim Chadashim to open an account in the first year. So let me just comment on that, if you don't mind, Tzipi. First of all, I don't believe that that's accurate at all. Perhaps there's a misunderstanding, and sometimes there's a misunderstanding with this fact, and that is that sometimes an Oleh Chadash will walk into a bank and say, I want an Oleh Chadash bank account. In other words, with whatever the bank or the branch offers to Olim, which can be sometimes low or no fees. That's really the only classification really to an account that would be called an Oleh Chadash account. Now, there can be a reason why they won't open up a bank account, called an Oleh Chadash account. more often that happens when people make Aliyah from within Israel, as opposed to people who land in the airport and get it to Udat Oleh, proving that they're Olim. But aside from all that, there's absolutely no reason or rule or regulation or anything like that that should prevent a bank from opening up a bank account for an Israeli or for Olim Chadashim.
So
Yeah, please.
yeah, you're right, but I'm gonna clarify something. There are some branches that don't open up accounts, period. Not just Olim accounts. They don't open up accounts, period. Okay. I live in the north. I don't have my beautiful north background on because I switched computers and I didn't upload it yet. I live in the beautiful north, and it's surprisingly difficult to find banks that open up new bank accounts. Crazy. Sometimes you have to go to Bank Mizrahi, you're supposed to go to Haifa. Somebody lives in Carmiel, that's a long trip. So you need to find, there's two possibilities to work around that. If they say you can't open up an Olim bank account, I also agree with you. I don't know what that means. If they say, sorry, we don't open up bank accounts, period, that's not what we do. They do other stuff, then ask which branch you can go to. And there's a few possibilities. One is to go to the branch that they say that they do open up accounts. Two is to go to a different bank altogether. And three, and I've had this work at least in the north, is they've been actually very pleasant. An older Ola, she can travel. They had the forms sent from the Haifa branch to the Carmiel branch. She filled out the stuff in Carmiel, sent it back to the Haifa branch. She could have gone to another bank, but she didn't want to. So if you're getting an answer that seems different than what Yitz and I are saying to you, give us a call, star 36880, Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and we can try and understand, or send us an email, and we can try and understand it better. Yes.
Can we also get cards? Well, I know here it isn't a credit card, it's a debit card, but can we also get a card? Is that one of the things we should ask for?
Yeah, definitely. You should definitely ask for it, because it's not, again, sometimes they might offer it to you, but sometimes they might just be waiting for you to ask for it. There's two cards you can get. One is just a simple ATM, card to pull money out, and another one is a debit card. They will give you on debit cards too. You have a credit, a credit framework up to a certain amount, and as new Olim, it might be a low amount because they don't yet see. Are you working? Aren't you working? How much? It's traditionally linked to how much monthly income you have coming in or how much savings you have. So they might give you a low credit framework, and I'm not sure that that's the right phrase. You can up to a certain amount, and then that you won't be able to use the card. And if that's the case, if it's low, you can go back after a couple months and say, hey, look, you see, I have money coming in. We have savings. We have this. We have that. And they'll usually enlarge that credit framework. And okay. Okay, next step is the Misrad HaAliyah VaKlita. Some of us call it Misrad HaAliyah, some of us Misrad HaKlita, excuse me. They changed its name a couple of years ago. It enlarged it from being just Misrad HaKlita to Misrad HaAliyah VaKlita. And in English, that would be the Ministry of Immigration and Absorption. This is where you will go to process your Aliyah benefits from the government, okay? What you need to bring is your Tudat Oleh that you received at the airport. And what you need to bring is your Tudat Zehut. You need to bring that form that was stamped by the bank. That's very important. A receipt that you've deposited money, which you can also show if you've deposited in a machine or online and print something out and show them, okay? And if you're Katin Choser and Ezrach Oleh, which I asked, nobody said they were, you would want to bring your Israeli passport, okay? This appointment is made, and in a minute we'll talk about what you should get. You make this appointment, unlike the Misrad HaPnim, where you make that appointment using the My Visit website. You do not make this first appointment using the My Visit. Even though My Visit does show the Misrad HaAliyah VaKlita, your first appointment cannot be made using that website, okay? They have to first put you in the system. So we have on our website a list of phone numbers and email addresses. And you should both call and email. And, I wouldn't make an appointment without knowing that you have an appointment yet for your Tudat Zehut. But once you know that you have an appointment for your Tudat Zehut, start making the appointment for the Misrad HaAliyah VaKlita, because you're not going to usually don't get an appointment immediately, okay? It can take a while. And what you should do is call the phone number. And usually it's an answering service, and they'll say they'll get back to you. And I assume they try to get back to you and don't succeed, and that's the end of that. But you should also send an email. When you send an email to any government office, make it very simple for them. Put on the top your name and your Taudat Zut number. If you can type it in Hebrew, the rest of the email in English, but if you can type your name in Hebrew and your Taudat Zut number in Hebrew, that's very, very helpful. And just say, hi, I'm Sippy Oppenheimer. I made Aliyah on such and such a date. I live in Jerusalem. I need an appointment. I need my first appointment. Okay. Send that to them. And my advice is the following. If you didn't get a call back in 2 days and you didn't get an answer to your 2 business days, an answer to your email in 2 business days, call again and take that very same email and resend it with another line. Okay. Not a new email, that same email, resend it, just adding on, hi, I'm resending this. I know you're busy, waiting to hear back about an appointment. You still haven't gotten an answer after 2 business days, try again. The same thing, pop up that same email. You want them to see that you've tried a few times and keep on calling, okay? If you haven't had any luck after, I say like 3 times, okay, which is like a full week, then let us know. Again, we don't have, it's not like we have a way to get you appointments, that we're not sharing with you. We don't, but on the other hand, we do have contact. We do have relationships with these offices, and we do try to help when somebody is really stuck, okay? You would expect to get a response back, whether it's an email or a phone call, and they'll give you, sometimes it's just an email saying you have an appointment on such and such a date, and that's fine. The date might be a few weeks from now, but that's also fine, okay? What are you going to do at the Misrad Aliyah Klita? What's important is, because you're giving them your bank account information, you are going to get set up in the system for receiving the Sal Klita, the monthly payments. The Klita coordinator, the Klita rep, the person who's going to be your contact, should also show you how much money you're going to be receiving and in which payments. We have that on our website. If you just Google Sal Klita calculator Nefesh B'Nefesh, you'll get to it. That's the most important thing. They set you up for your Sal Klita. The money is deposited once monthly at the beginning, anytime in the first 20 days of the month. It's usually towards the beginning, but not always. And the other thing that you want to talk about with them is Ulpan. If you're not ready yet to talk about Ulpan, that's fine, but that's who you speak to about Ulpan. Anybody who's here, I saw there was at least one young face I saw. If somebody here is of the age where they can take advantage of higher education benefits, it would also be, you can speak with the Klita rep there, or you can speak with, we have somebody on our Nefesh B'Nefesh staff who is, that's her specialty. Her name is Shlomit. Her email is her name, SHLOMIT, Shlomit @mbn.org.il. And you can talk to her about higher education and getting the money as an Ola or an Ole. I'm not going to go through the other things that you need to bring, because you all said you're not any of those statuses. Any questions yet about this? Okay, Yitz, am I forgetting something? Okay. There is one little thing here, a blurb, setting up a gov.il account. This gov.il account will give you access to various online government services. I have found, and Yitz can tell me if he's found otherwise, but until you get your actual biometric Taudat Zehut, it's kind of hard to open this account up. But once you have that, I suggest, bookmarking this, reminding yourself, and open up this account. It's helpful for a lot of different things. You can chat with various government offices if you have questions. You can get to the Misrad Klita rep through this login, and see your payments and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a sometimes it's just a lot of frustration, and you're not successful if you don't have the biometric Taudat Zehut, but once you do, it's worth it to open up that account. Okay, Kupat Cholim. This is step number 4, even though it could actually be parallel to some of the other steps. You should all be registered already for healthcare. You shouldn't need it. Got to be willing. You're going to be healthy, but you should all be registered for healthcare. We usually suggest waiting 7 to 10 days after having made Aliyah to go to your clinic. Okay, so say you registered for Klalit, you're going to find Klali clinic that you want to join? Is it the one that's closest to your house, perhaps? Is it the one that's a little bit farther but has an English-speaking doctor? Is it the one that is one bus ride away but has a specialist that you really need? You need to do your homework and see which clinic you want to join. If it's Maccabi or Mujer, it doesn't matter. You're in that healthcare system. Now you need to find the clinic. And if you don't need to see a doctor immediately, then wait to 7 to 10 days, working days after your arrival, and go with that sheet of paper that you received at the airport with the healthcare information. Go to the office when it's open. You don't need an appointment. Speak with the office secretary with a capital S, who will hopefully find you in the system and issue you a membership card, a magnetic card. It looks like a credit card. Sometimes they send it to you in the mail. Sometimes they give you a temporary one, tell you to come pick it up. You need to ask them, okay? I really suggest making, once you're registered in the clinic, making an appointment with your doctor, with your family physician, like even though you're not sick, a healthy visit, so you can get to know the doctor can get to know you, especially if you take medicines and have medical history. It's a shame to wait for something to flare up and then you're double rushed. Make an appointment. Doctor would appreciate having a 20, whatever, how long the appointments are, with somebody who's healthy and just wants to put them up to speed on their health history and get to know them. If you go into the clinic the 7-10 days after your arrival and they don't see you in the system, they're going to tell you to go to Bituach Leumi. And I'm going to tell you, don't go to Bituach Leumi, give us a phone call, okay? It sometimes happens that you're not in the system. We have ways to check what's the problem. And it's a shame for you to have to go to an office that you don't really have to go to. So if you go after 5 days, they don't see you, then wait till the 10 days and go again. But if then they say they don't see you and go to Bituach Leumi or whatever, they don't say, give us a call and we'll try and figure it out with you, okay? This would also be the time for me to mention supplemental health insurance. The health care that you all receive free for the first 6 months is what we call the basic health insurance, which is a wonderful product. God forbid you have appendicitis, you go into the hospital and leave and have a bill of zero. Somebody b'sha'at tova gives birth, you'll have a bill of zero. You need stitches, you have a bill of zero. But for other things, the supplemental health insurance is very helpful. You need physical therapy and you don't want to go to the Kupa physical therapy, the HMO physical therapy clinic. You want to have a person come to your house. You can find a physical therapist who works through that Kupat Cholim and receive 70% of it back. That's just a true experience on my part, okay? One example, God forbid you have life-threatening issues and you want a second opinion, you need to go elsewhere for, God forbid, the things that we don't want to think about. That's when the supplemental health insurance helps, but not just. There's also supplemental health insurance gives a certain amount of money back if you buy eyeglasses a certain place, or all sorts of pluses. So Nefesh B'Nefesh strongly encourages you to get supplemental health insurance. It's not all that much money, certainly not compared to anything in the States. It gets more expensive as you grow older, of course. The price changes, I believe, every decade of your life. And then it changes from 70 to 75 and 75 up, I think, something like that. Your children barely cost. If you have supplemental health insurance for children, it's like almost for free to add them, or maybe for free. And the important thing to know is this: you can apply for supplemental health insurance anytime that you like, but if you apply within the first 90 days of your Aliyah, you will not have any waiting period for pre-existing conditions or for some of the special services. Anybody who applies for supplemental health insurance will still have a wait period. Any of the expensive special services, you will not have that if you do this within the first 90 days. So it's almost a no-brainer to apply for this. And you pay for this health insurance from day one. You pay directly to the Kupat Cholim. So when you go, you're going to need to bring some type of credit card. I'm pretty sure they take foreign credit cards as well as local credit cards. They charge you quarterly. They charge you quarterly, even though the fee is monthly, of course. Any questions about that? Yes, Yossi.
We have a 20-year-old son here who did not come with us and is not an Olim. Can he be insured with us, or does he have to be Olim to be insured?
Good question. He can't be insured with you. There are health insurances that he can take as a tourist or if he has a student visa, whatever. We even have some of them listed on our website. Again, you can ask about it, or you can, if you look on the website, it's actually in the article for returning residents, because they have a wait period for their insurance. And then at the bottom of the article, there's about 5 or 6, and some of them are run through the actual Kupot Cholim. So it's convenient. It's accessed the same way. It's just paid differently. But it's not like in the States where your whole family members can be covered. Anybody over the age of, I want to say 18, is already not in your household, regardless if they're citizens or not. So, yeah. Healthcare also, I'll just say this, the healthcare, the level of healthcare in Israel is wonderful. Really, I mean, technology, it's excellent. The packaging is very different than what you're used to in the States. Both, just how do we access the healthcare, and also if God forbid you need to be in a hospital, it's different. And I like to say different doesn't mean worse. It doesn't mean better. It means different. And making Aliyah is a very humbling experience in many, many ways. And when you start interacting with the healthcare system, also, it's humbling. Just, swallow your ego, swallow everything you knew, and try to learn again. And, I always like to say after a year or two, then you have the right quote. You can always say what you think of it, of course. You have the right to say what you think of it. But sometimes you have to learn the system inside out and try to understand it through Israeli eyes, so to speak, and not what you're used to from North America. And then there's a lot of things we can learn from North America here in Israel, but there's vice versa as well. So I hope you don't need to interact a lot with the healthcare, but you might need to. Okay, monthly child benefits. I'm going to do this quickly. I don't see everybody, so I don't see ages here. Anybody with children under the age of 18 will be receiving from the Bituach Leumi, from the national insurance, money monthly per child. And there's also what's called a savings plan, which you need to choose within the first 6 months where to have that money deposited. I'm not going to go into that in more detail. If there's people here with, one second, yes, if there's people here with kids under that age and they are receiving money for them, I would mark in my calendar, like in 2 months' time, to go back to this about the savings plan, because the government deposits 50 shekel per child in a savings plan until the age of 18. And you have 6 months to decide where to have that deposited. It's 3 different providential funds, which I believe is a kupat gemel in Hebrew, or a savings account. And some American accountants or North American accountants say that it does have tax implications, so you might want the savings account as opposed to the kupat gemel. That's a lot to have in your head right now at this point in your Aliyah, which is why this is step 5. But don't forget to deal with it later. What did you want to say, Yitz?
I wanted to answer the question of, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, sir, but you're listening in for Rochelle.
Yeah, Rayful, hi.
Hi. He asked the question of, in the chat, how do we access care if needed before you register with the local kupa? And I answered him that most people, and I think everybody here on this Zoom is the case, are covered from when they land. And to be talked about in the beginning, the piece of paper that says which kupat cholim you chose in the beginning. So, very good question. Follow-up question was, okay, although we are covered, it's not clear who to call for access to care. So really, sir, the answer is that you should reach out to your local kupat cholim. Okay, so if you're with Maccabi, you can Google Maccabi branches near me, or you can ask your neighbors or friends or family or whatever it is, and you can go to that branch. Okay, some branches are smaller than others. Some may offer less or more services than others, but at the very least, you should go into the nearest branch that is relevant to your kupa, or that's associated to your kupa, and present your issue or whatever it is and ask them for some guidance. Okay? Was that clear?
Yeah, thank you. It's a partial answer, but I guess the question if there was some more, let's say, semi-urgent condition that needed to be attended to.
Okay, so obviously anything that has to do with the emergency room in the hospital, you should go ahead and just, like I said, pay out of pocket if needed and save all paperwork and stuff like that. And if it is not emergency room related, then definitely start with the kupa. But also ask friends or families or neighbors who their family doctor is. A lot of things in Israel go through the family doctor. Often your family doctor is the one who needs to say, yes, I see that you have a serious problem here. Let me refer you to an orthopedic. Or, yes, you clearly need to go to the hospital. Let me give you that piece of paper that you need to bring to the hospital. So a lot of things need to go through a family doctor. So just to be sure, in case something like this may come up, I would suggest trying to nail that down. It doesn't have to, it's not set in stone. It's not this person for life, but you want to have somebody, just like you're asking, to reach out to, God forbid, in case of emergency, not emergency room level. Okay?
Okay.
I'm just going to add, Riffle, if you still have a question, that's very particular to you, and we're not going to open it up in front of everybody, especially if it's health stuff, you can call us tomorrow at 9 a.m. And if it's even more urgent than that, I can hang on after we say goodbye to everybody and we can talk about it.
It's
Okay.
good. I am a physician, and I've learned to plan for the worst, and you can hope for the best, but you plan for the worst.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Step 6 is school registration. And I'm just going to use that. If anybody here, I don't know, has children, hopefully they're all already have, and we're in the middle of the school year, so hopefully they already know where they want to send them to school. If you have specific questions about school registration, you really should be in touch with us immediately tomorrow, and we can direct you in the right direction. But that will be a chance for me to introduce another concept, which is a municipality coordinator. Many various cities have municipality coordinators for English speaking in general for Olim, but many cities also for English-speaking Olim. My colleagues always like to say in the cities they have the most Anglo population, but that's not always true, because I live in the north and none of the cities here have a large Anglo population, and still some of the municipality coordinators speak English. We have on our Yitz is laughing at me. We have on our website a listing of the cities that have municipality coordinators that speak English, and their email and their phone number. And it's a really good, if you don't need their help, then certainly don't. But if you need their help, they're very helpful in all sorts of things, such as helping get your kids registered, because that's done through the local municipality. If it's a city or if it's another type of municipality, they can help you with Arnona, which we're going to talk about in a second. And they can help you with other things that have to do with local issues. Okay. I don't know if Yitz put that email address, that link in. I'm sure he did, but I'm just going to tell you, there's another article that I really like, in addition to this one that we're looking at here on our website. It's called Cheat Sheet for Your First Steps, and it's got some like all the most important links there. So I'm going to send that in the email as well, and you can find a lot of the links that way. Okay, the following 3 steps are what we call second tier. They're also time sensitive, but a little bit less. So let's just go into it. Arnona. The Arnona is what's known as the municipality tax or the property tax, or okay. In Israel, a person the person who lives in the property is the one who pays that tax. So if you're renting an apartment, you still are the one who pays that tax, not the person who owns the apartment or the property. Okay, you pay it to your local municipality, and as Olim, you are entitled to a discount of, it's usually 90%, some places it's 70%, and there's even a couple places that don't offer it at all. Those are usually the higher end socioeconomic places. So the law does allow for that leeway. Assuming you're getting 70 to 90% discount, it's a discount for on the first 100 square meters. That's about 1,100 square feet. Anything above that size, you'll pay full price on the Arnona. The discount, again, is 79% on the first 100 square meters for a 12-month period. You can take advantage of that discount anytime within the first 24 months. So that's why it's a little bit less time sensitive. You can start that discount in the 3rd month, in the 4th month, even in the 13th month, and still take full advantage of it. You do need to have a long-term rental contract. We always say 12-month rental contract. I have heard of places with 6 months, but if you're getting a long-term one, then certainly wait to get that. Some people, decide strategically to wait. They come and they rent something very small for the first year or for the first half year and know they're going to upgrade next year. And if you know that's going to be the case, and currently you're renting 60 square meters, but you're planning on adding another 2 rooms next year to what you're renting, and it's going to be closer to 100 square meters, you might want to wait and hold off and get this discount in the 2nd year. Just don't forget about it, because if you snooze, you lose. You won't be able to take advantage of it if you've passed the timeline. You need to show a few things at the municipality. That includes your Tudat Oleh, that includes your Tudat Zehut, and that includes, if you have a copy of Arnona bill. And you can ask the owner, if you own it, you should have it yourself. If you're renting, you can ask the landlord for a copy of the bill. Okay. This is one of the things the municipality coordinator can help you with. Sometimes it can be done online. Sometimes you have to go in person. And depending on how good your Hebrew is and how much of an adventurous person you are, if you want to do it yourself, if you want to be in touch with the municipality coordinator. This discount is not given to, the reduction is not given to Katinim Chozrim. Again, I don't think we have anybody here who fits that definition, but if there is somebody, our apologies. We work really hard at trying to make a change for that. And hopefully at one point the government, they're going to realize that there's no reason that the Katinim Chozrim shouldn't get it either, but that is what it is. Any questions about that? The contract needs to be in your name. So if you are borrowing somebody's house, you need to, or living in an aunt's apartment or something, you would either need to have your aunt write you a rental contract or wait until you rent your own place. Okay. If you are young and are sharing the apartment with somebody else, you have roommates or apartment mates, and the contract's in all of your names, you would get the discount proportionally. Okay. If you're two people, you'd get discount on 50% of the square feet, meter metrage of the house. Any questions about that?
I have a question, yes.
Mhm.
So just for a couple of weeks, we're just, we did Airbnb, and then we have a 3-month sublease before we move into our own place. So are we paying taxes for when we're in the Airbnb or
You're
the
not.
3-month sublease?
Excellent question. You're definitely not paying taxes on the Airbnb. The 3-month lease, you need to, and anybody who's renting, by the way, should ask this question. Sometimes when rental, how do I put this in a PC way? If you're renting something that is 100% legal and above books, and is being reported to the municipality, you certainly might have a separate payment to make. Most often, and it's not because people are doing things under the table, it's most often where I live in the Galil, right? I live in the Galilee, the most beautiful part of the country. And there's, in most of the regional municipalities, there is no way to legally have a Zimmer or a rental in your house. Crazy, okay? So then the rental would probably be inclusive. So you need to ask your 3-month temporary rental, what does it include? Does it include your arnona? Does it include your utilities? Some places, even if you get a 12-month rental, they're going to say it's all inclusive. And then you need to say, okay, then I'm not going to be able to take advantage of that discount because it's all inclusive, but it's still what I want and it's a good price. If you're renting and they say, hey, let's put the whole arnona bill in your name and get that whole discount for the small flat that you're renting in the larger house, don't do that. That's not legal. Okay. But that's how it is. Usually if the owner is getting a separate arnona bill for what you're renting, they're going to give you that. They're going to pass it on to you and have you pay it. If it's included in their bill, they're going to usually give a price that's all inclusive, but the final answers you need to ask them. No, you're muted again.
No, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Next step, driver's license conversion. Most important thing I want to say about this is the following. You can drive legally for 1 year on your driver's license, legally for 1 year from your last entry date into Israel. If you made Aliyah on November 10th and you visited Israel in September to finalize your rental or whatever, then the 1 year starts in September. If you visited Israel in January of 2020, then that doesn't count. When you have 1 year between your Aliyah date and the last visit, the clock starts ticking over again. So if you made Aliyah on November 10th and you hadn't visited Israel for a full year, then you have a full year to drive on your foreign license from your Aliyah date. I'm probably not explaining this well because I see people's faces. If you visited in June because you had a family simcha or whatever, June of 2022, and then you made Aliyah November of 2022, the clock started ticking in June of 2022. So you each need to look and see when was the last time I visited. If it was before November 2021, your Aliyah date is the date that you started counting the 1 year. If you came anytime in the year between that, before your Aliyah, the date is when you came to visit. Why is this important? Besides the fact that you want to drive legally, it's not important because no policeman's going to stop you and give you a ticket. You're driving illegally. That's not what I'm worried about for you guys. The problem is, God forbid, you are in a car accident, God forbid, and you've been paying your insurance premiums. And of course, the insurance is going to cover it. But we know insurance companies, and they do that's their job to see why they shouldn't have to pay you. That's what they do. And if they see that you're driving illegally, your insurance premium, your insurance policy it does not cover you. So it is imperative that you keep that in mind and you switch your driver's license before that 1 year is up. Okay. How do you switch your driver's license? It's about 3 steps. We have it all. I'm not going to go through it step by step. It could be a whole session in itself. We have this article that explains it. The first step is filling something out online. The second step is you get an okay, going to an optometrist that works in cooperation with the Israeli DMV, which is called the Misad Rishui. And the third step is going to the district Misad Rishui. In order to convert your driver's license simply and easily, you need to have a current valid driver's license, foreign license. Don't let it expire before you manage to do this. And you need to have proof that you've been driving for 5 years preceding the date of your Aliyah. Sometimes, if you're lucky, that's the same driver's license. Maybe you took it out 6 years ago. Sometimes, if you're not lucky, you just renewed your driver's license, or it doesn't have the date of issue, or all sorts of things. And if that's the case, you need to go online to the DMV of your state that you came from and look to order a form that will give some type of abstract of your driving, will have your name and the date when you began driving, or some dates. Nobody really cares if you began driving 20 years ago or if you began driving 6 years ago. So it doesn't have to have the full abstract. You just have some type of proof. A photocopy of your old driver's license does not work. An actual physical old driver's license does work. So you need proof that you've been driving for 5 years immediately, for the 5 years immediately preceding your Aliyah. I would imagine you're going to have questions about that because it is a whole process. And what I'm going to suggest is when you get to this, look through the article and then be back in touch with us if you have more questions. Right now, what you do want to check is your current license, see when it expires. If it expires soon, you want to take care of this immediately, or you want to renew the license, and also see if you have proof of those 5 years. And if not, also apply for that form online.
So can I clarify one question? Just
certainly.
The starting of the clock ticking, is it the last visit prior to Aliyah, or is it any visit in the last calendar year? So for example, we were here in February and in June and July. Is it July that it starts, June, July it starts to tick, or February?
February. Anything, it's not the last calendar, the last 365 days. The earliest date that you came in within the last 365 days. Okay, so you should, the Schneiders, move on this sooner rather than later. I'm going to add one more thing that I didn't say. The first step is filling out an online form and includes a medical self-declaration medical form. And if you need to answer yes, we do write this in the tutorial about it. If you need to answer yes to anything, you're taking medicines, you have a medical history, you do not submit that form without getting a letter from your doctor saying, I, Dr. So-and-so, I, Dr. So-and-so, take care of, I am the doctor for Tzippi Oppenheimer, 2. Zoot number, this, that, and the other. She has high blood pressure. She takes the following medications. This should not affect her driving ability, okay? That's what you want the doctor to write. Some doctors don't like to write that, and I totally get it. We used to say to people to say straight out, they should write, it doesn't affect it. No, it's the best of my knowledge, it does not affect driving ability. The reason you want, and then you want to attach that letter to the form that you submit. If you are lucky enough to have excellent health and not, they don't care if you're taking vitamins, that's not, but you have excellent health, don't have health issues, don't take meds, then you don't have to worry about what I'm saying now. But if you do, you're going to want to go to your doctor and get that letter. If you don't attach that letter, your application is going to immediately go to the medical board of the DMV, the Misad Rishui, and it can take a long, long time. Some medical conditions, in any case, that's going to make you go through their board. You know, if you have epilepsy or something that is very frightening for driving reasons, then still they might want to make you go through the board. But if you have, you know, high blood pressure, sugar, things that people our age have, or some of us our age have, then you want to just add that letter and it'll make the whole thing much, much quicker. Okay? Any other questions about that? Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk in depth is this Israeli passport. So the good news is the following: the government has extended. They started already about 9 months ago, and then extended it for another 6 months because of the backlog in finding appointments at the Misrad Pnim. Israelis with valid foreign passports, can travel in and out of Israel using their valid foreign passport through the end of June 30th, 2023. What that means is, as an Israeli citizen, by law, you need to use your Israeli passport to travel in and out of Israel anytime you travel, if you've been here for 3 months or more. Okay, that's what it says here. However, since it's so hard to get appointments, they have added this little temporary ordinance allowing you to travel with your foreign passport. So that's really, really good news for us, Olim, okay? So what that means is you're going to go and apply for your biometric Tudat Zehut. You can't apply yet for the passport because you haven't 3 full months or 90 days have not passed yet. And then when you finish applying for your Tudat Zehut, you're going to go make an appointment, even if it's in March, April, May, June, July, not July, anything before June 30th, make the appointments, one per person, per family. So if you have kids, they each need an appointment to get the passport. It's not a rush because you can travel through the end of June with your foreign passport. This is a good thing. You can pay ahead of time online. I would first make the appointment. And there's a cheaper, the fee is cheaper when you pay online, and there's even further discounted fee, what they call for winter rates. And they've extended the winter rate now. It used to finish the end of February, and I believe it's now extended to the end of June. In any case, it's less expensive to pay online. You need to pay using an Israeli credit card. So I suggest doing that. When you pay online, it doesn't mean they're making you an appointment. You have to make the appointment too. So make the appointment first and then pay online, and try and take advantage of that winter discounted price. If you're just one person, the difference is not so big, but if you're a family, it adds up. What you need to bring to that Zehut, your foreign passport, the processing fee that you paid already, they'll see it in the system, or you pay there. All family members requesting passports. I was there the other day requesting something at the Misrad Pnim in Afula, and I saw this woman. She held this. The baby was 2 weeks old. She held the baby up. Oh my God! They take a picture with this biometric machine, so she's holding the baby up to the. It was amazing. You don't need to bring pictures because you take a biometric photo of you. There's a few more details here. You can look at it. The first passport that you're issued is good for 1 year. If you have been in Israel, when you go to renew it, if you've been in Israel for 75% of that first year, they will renew the passport for 5 to 10 years. If you've been less than 75%, they'll renew the passport again for 1 year. And you could think about, do you want what's called a Tudat Ma'avar? If there's anyone here who is considering a Tudat Ma'avar, which I'm not going to go into details, you can call us and we can give you more information. What it basically is on another language, in international language, is called laissez-passer, which is a travel document that's not an official passport, but does let you travel to most countries in the world. And you can get it for 5 years to begin with, as opposed to 1 year. Any questions? Okay, so I'm just going to look here 1 second. I'm realizing now this website is this article, this link is better than I thought. You can find your municipality coordinators here. You can find the list of Misrad Klita and email addresses and phone numbers here. Emergency situations, it's worth it. Really, really worth it to look at. I know that I've been living here forever, and my instinct would be always to call 911, but that's not what you want to do. So you want to keep these numbers handy so you remember who to call. This is information that's worthwhile to read through. Just take a few minutes to read through it, okay? Where did I go back here? Yes, you want to mute yourself a sec, or did you want to ask something?
I wanted to add one thing about the credit card. When you go to Misrad Pnim after having paid for the passport with an Israeli credit card, you do not need to bring that with you, the credit card. So if for whatever reason you don't have a credit card, or you haven't been able to open the bank account, or didn't come in time, or whatever it is, but you have that appointment for a passport, So you can use somebody else's credit card, obviously, and pay them back and stuff. You don't need to actually take their card from them and then bring it with you to the branch, to the meeting.
Thanks, yes. Okay. We have a full listing of your Aliyah rights and benefits, which I hope you know about from prior to your Aliyah. The only one I'm going to mention right here is a rental subsidy. If you own your own place, you're not eligible for the rental subsidy. Otherwise, everybody gets a rental subsidy beginning from the 8th month. If you're single, it's 200 shekel that goes up to 423 shekel, something like that. If you're a couple or a family, it's 400 shekel, goes up to 800 shekel. You receive it for 4 years, then the 5th year receive a much reduced rate. It comes directly into your bank account, the same bank account that you've given at the Misrad Klita. The Ministry of Housing, the Misrad Shikun, accesses that information and deposits it directly there. Okay. Another thing, if one of you is, if you're going to begin working, you are also eligible for a discounted income tax as an Oleh. That's worth it to know about. So keep that in mind when you begin working. Other things here. Ulpan, I'm just going to say one word about Ulpan, or a couple words about Ulpan. As Olim, everything is written that you have 18 months to take advantage of Ulpan. It's been extended to 10 years over the past 8 or 9 years. You can't. They haven't changed it on a permanent basis, but they keep on extending it. You can take one of two types. You can take 2 different Ulpanim. You need to finish the first one, complete it successfully, which means attending 80%, taking the final exam in order to get a voucher from the government for a second Ulpan. There's a private Ulpan and a public Ulpan. And I just want to say that there is a huge backlog in Ulpan throughout the country. So many Olim coming, not enough teachers, not enough classrooms, and not enough budget. So that's for the public Ulpan. The private Ulpan, those are private companies. They're usually a little bit less intense. If you speak some Hebrew, it's a really good way to go. If you speak no Hebrew, that will be a decision for you to make. Do I want to wait until I can get into this very intense Ulpan, or do I want to take something that meets less hours but starts immediately? I'm willing to have the conversation. It's a longer conversation with anybody who wants. Now, next week, whenever, call us, and me or any of my colleagues, and we can talk to you about it. More information here about the passport, setting up your home. It's all important information. It's been a long session, and I'm not going to read everything to you. I just want to show you the stuff that is here that's very helpful. Okay. And again, some of you might have already received a paper copy of it in our, which we try to pass out, welcome bag. We have somebody by the name of Roni who travels throughout the country and passes it out, and sometimes comes in the first couple of days and sometimes just in the first month or 2 months. You should have, this is important. Please be sure to have in your email address book the email answers@mbn.org.il. You get a lot of emails from us from that email. If you're not receiving emails from us, it could be that it's going to your spam filter, which is why if you add it to the address book, you will be receiving from us about 7 or 8 emails throughout the year, reminding you of these various milestones with more information. I don't want to, I think I probably overloaded you anyway, but the monthly emails that are misnomer because they come out monthly but not every month, will remind you of all these things. Okay, any questions before we hang up, before we say goodbye? Okay, so I thank you very, very much, and Yitz and I both thank you, Yitz, also, and Mazal Tov really on your Aliyah. Kol HaKavod, it's exciting, so go celebrate, go have ice cream at Golda's, I don't know, and go enjoy the sunset, which is going to happen in a little bit, and celebrate your Aliyah every day, even with the challenges and with the hardships. We're here to help you, and it's something to celebrate, every big thing and every little thing. So Mazal Tov, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Mazal tov.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.